Right, good morning, everyone. I know we have a few more joining us, but we will go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us for our last Strategy for Success webinar of 2020. We're excited to feature Mark, Stewart, and Jillian Grammer once again from concept to completion. They have a fantastic presentation for us today. They'll be talking about how to blow the doors off in 2021, how to reimagine your vision and mission, and set attainable goals for 2021. Mark Stewart is a student of consumer behavior and enjoys helping business owners and entrepreneurs find success. Mark has over 25 years of experience as a Fortune 50 leader and through funding his own business. Mark has launched multiple brands from scratch and has either founded or co-founded 3 startups in the electronics, sporting goods, and general consumer product goods industry. Mark has an intimate understanding of marketing in the modern age, having experience at retailers like Target, Walgreens, Walmart, Canadian Tire, and Amazon.com. Mark can provide insight into common marketing and retail strategy. Mark's also an elected member of the Chandler City Council and represents the Job Creators Network at the Arizona State Ambassador. Then Jillian Grammer helps small businesses grow a strong online presence that targets audience to converts. She's committed to communicating a brand's unique value and story through organic and paid strategies. As the marketing content manager for Concept to Completion, she's responsible for internal and external marketing content and execution duties. She creates, executes, and delivers marketing for Concept to Completion clients, including but not limited to social media, email marketing, creative design, blog, video development, content creation, Google AdWords, and Facebook ads. Well, you guys are some busy people, especially this year, so we are so excited that you guys have once again joined us to wrap up 2020. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Carly, thanks so much, and thanks for everything you're doing for not only the chamber but for all the businesses that are part of the chamber. I think your organization of these meetings and keeping us squared away on where we're supposed to be and getting this organized has been phenomenal. I know the chamber has put a lot of effort into making sure people are aware and know what's going on in the community, as well as offering just tons of resources that people can use to kind of keep their head above water during this trying time. So thanks so much for what you do, Carly. You're amazing, so thank you. Jiving right in here, because I know a lot of us are taking a little break from, like I said, trying to keep their head above water with this COVID crisis. So we're going to talk about how we can blow the doors off in 2021. And I know a lot of us that are probably paying attention here are really looking for that way to break out in 2021. I know the light's at the end of the tunnel. We've got vaccinations going on today. We've got our key healthcare workers that are getting vaccinated. I was watching the lines this morning on Fox 10, and that's happening quickly. But that doesn't change the fact that COVID-19 absolutely affected our ability to do business this year. So what I want to talk to you about today, and Jillian's going to help me, is marketing in the COVID era, marketing in 2020, what we saw happen. We're going to talk about marketing plan basics, what a marketing plan is, what it isn't. We'll talk about brand promise versus actual brand. And that's something that's important to understand. And vision and mission statement. We're not going to work on a workshop to do your vision and mission statement, but it's something you need to understand. We're going to talk about identifying your ideal customer so you can really target your marketing the right way. Understanding who your ideal customer is so important to being effective, especially with either any kind of traditional or online marketing. We'll talk about a few tools and techniques that you need to have in your brain spinning around, thinking about techniques that you might use for marketing in 2021. We'll talk about the key, which is messaging and content, how to execute, and analysis in the purity of purpose. We'll kind of surmise everything that we're talking about today. But this is a Q&A sort of session. I want people to pop in questions in the chat because if we can't get to them today, we will follow up with them at the end. And then at the very end of this, we are going to offer you the opportunity to get a one-pager that you can sit on a Sunday evening and scratch out your 2021 vision and then expound on your opportunities moving into the next year. So Jillian Grammer is our content marketing specialist, and she's absolutely amazing at creating messaging, conveying that in a visual story. And I'm going to turn it over to her. She's going to talk about some of the things here today. Jillian, thank you.
Okay, so We kind of already went over this, but just in case anyone new is joining, we are going to go over it again. But to kind of draw out a roadmap for what this discussion is going to entail, we're going to go over just a brief outline here. So to start, we're going to start with a quick recap of what marketing in 2020 looked like and the changes marketers made to adjust to COVID and trends that need to be considered moving forward. Then we will begin our discussion on the marketing plan, and we'll really go into detail here of the steps of how to build this out. And we definitely suggest taking notes so you can take this with you and kind of realign your marketing plan for 2021. This will include the vision and mission statement, identifying your ideal customer, tools and techniques, messaging, execution and analysis, and then we'll wrap it up with the purity of purpose. All right, so 2020 and COVID-19. All right, so this graph here is basically showing the mentions on social media throughout the past year. So when the outbreak began, people obviously started including it in their content more. This is ultimately showing us that COVID-19 dominated the year, marketing included. Now, a positive that we can take from this year is that we're at the beginning of the great digital reset. I think more and more brands have started to realize the importance of having a social media presence, but this year really ushered those who didn't to have a new understanding. In a business, we either adapt or evolve. And this is a great example here with Blockbuster. Once our world shifted to the convenience of online streaming, their business model was outdated, and ultimately they didn't adapt to what was going on and trending, and which, as we know, led to them closing their doors. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that there's no government program that will aid in marketing in a slower, challenging time. It's only the business's responsibility to adapt. They're in charge of how they respond and evolve during a crisis like this. All right, so with COVID-19 came consumer and marketing changes. If you want to stay on top of what's going on in the marketing industry, you have to meet people where they're at, and in this case, it's online. People have really turned to social media for that human connection, and brands need to realize that this nurturing relationships with their consumers will position them as top of mind. So a few examples here of how marketing efforts changed during 2020. Consumers flocked to social media for entertainment. As movie theaters and other forms of entertainment were forced to close during a long period of time, consumers turned to social media for their entertainment. This leads us to the next point, the rise of video content, both short form and long form. Video content was already predicted to be hot at the beginning of the year, but as people spent more time inside and online, apps like TikTok really took off. In addition, increase in live streams on social media. I don't know about you guys, but I remember during the beginning of like quarantine and lockdown, every single brand and celebrity were live streaming because no one knew like what to do or how to react. And so everyone was always on live stream. Virtual events in place of conferences and other in-person events. We saw advancements in food delivery, virtual consultations from businesses who normally never offered that type of service, e-commerce, and then interactive content. And then over here on the right, we have a few areas that need to be considered right now in moving into 2021. And that's engaging customers with empathy. Here we have an example of this app, which is called the Calm app, and it's a meditation app. Mental health really took a toll for a lot of people, so they offered free services for meditation during this time to solely help people, and that's a good example of showing empathy. And then personalizing your digital communications and delivering the right message at the right time. And we'll go into more detail on this when we dive into the marketing plan. Lastly, optimizing budget spends and making real-time decision on what is important to your business right now. And ultimately, finding success in 2021 will depend on being accessible through digital content and having a solid digital footprint. So yes, now is the time to gain market share and really kick it into high gear and meet your consumers where they're at. So on this next slide, we just have a few graphs that just solidify what we were just talking about. So over here on the left, this one shows that 64% of respondents ranked that their social media consumption has increased significantly. And then right here, Amazon net sales are, as we can guess, continuing to grow. Amazon actually anticipates a permanent shift in consumer behavior towards online shopping, and their total net sales reached 88.9 billion in Q2 of 2020, which is the highest they have ever recorded. And then this graph right here on the right top is showing the desired tone consumers wanted to see from brands. And the highest ranked here is empathy, which we were just talking about, and is an important trend moving forward in 2021. And then lastly, consumers were asked, what is the best way for brands to advertise during the outbreak? And the highest ranked here is showing how they're supporting their staff and consumers. So pretty interesting information here. All right, so let's get into the main point of discussion, and that is the marketing plan. So what is a marketing plan? It's essentially a brief outline where you identify your target market, unique value proposition, brand promise, and overview of your business goals, both long-term and short-term. Why is it important to have one? Well, it helps you stay on track, and later it can be used to help you measure your marketing efforts. And we will go into more detail on this in just a minute. So what happens if you stay on track and follow your plan? You brand build, you create advocates, you create more opportunity, and ultimately save money because you're not scrambling and trying to make a quick on-the-spot decision.
And Jillian, let me jump in right there, because that's key to taking the time to invest in getting a plan together. And it's the purpose of this meeting. And I know a lot of us are going to sit in this meeting, and they're going to soak it into your brain. You're going to take a few notes, and then you're going to, and one of you will, hopefully not all of you, but one of you will set it to the side, and you'll never think about it again. The key to this being a successful hour is to continue to invest in this plan, in writing things down and building a strategy so that you can reach out in 2021 and hit some of the goals that you have. So we're gonna keep spinning these slides forward and get into a little bit more detail, but it's so critical that you take the time to invest in yourself and invest in your business and taking the time to do this. Go ahead, Jay. Thanks.
Yep. And just as a reminder, at the end of this webinar, we will be sending out the one-page marketing plan as a guide, so stay tuned for that. All right, now Mark is going to take it from here and talk about the difference between brand promise and the actual brand.
So brand has become such a cliche phrase these days, but I still love it. I think it's so important. I think personal branding, business branding, all types of branding are exactly what every business needs, small, medium, and large. It's so important because a brand is a promise. That's essentially you're saying to people, this is what you can expect when you meet me, or this is what you can expect when you're around me or when you're around my business. It's who I am, right? And it also connects with who my customer is. And so we've all been, I love this slide because we can watch a Burger King ad and we can see a picture of the food. And then when we show up and we order that hamburger or that McDouble, it doesn't really look like what you see on TV. And so there's a miss in the brand promise there, right? And there's a feeling that you get inside when that miss happens. So it's very important for you to understand what people say about your business when you're not around. And it's a tough pill to swallow. I can tell you this, that one of the things that's hard for me to realize or to understand sometimes is that I have to do my own sort of research to find out what people think about concept to completion. It's super important for me to understand what that is so that I can make the changes so that my brand connects with the consumer that I'm targeting. So just keep that in mind. Your brand is a promise, and your brand is actually what people say about you when you're not around. So those are a couple good things to note. And the way you can find out what people think about you is just start asking, or have a third party company ask people about your company and ask them what they think your company is. You may think you have the best menu in the world, right? But when you find out exactly what people think about your menu, it might be time to light a fire under your chef and make some changes. So next slide, please.
Yeah, exactly. Or also just read your reviews on like Yelp or Google, because people are very honest and there.
Yeah, that's true. And don't argue with your folks. They're taking the time to tell you how to be better. So take it as an opportunity, not as a negative movement if you can. So let's get started. So this is where it gets fun. I talk a lot about brand. I talk a lot about vision and mission. We do a vision and mission workshop with every single client that we bring on board. Some of them are a little bit longer than others, depending on what level of service that C2C provides. But ultimately, we want to understand what makes you tick. We want to understand what your messaging is to your consumer. But ultimately, we want to understand your purpose. And so we start by helping our clients craft a vision statement. In other words, we want to find out what the deeper purpose of your business is, and then figuring out how to phrase that so it can be consumer focused. It doesn't necessarily have to be consumer focused. Let's say your business is like mine, right? Our vision statement for C2C kind of wraps around making sure that we are helping the community as a whole. We want to help the East Valley be a better place for opportunity, be a better place for job creation, be a better place for small business owners to be the next Dell. I always use that phrase, or be the next Amazon. And if we can offer fractional services to those entrepreneurs or those small businesses, that's who we want to be. That's our vision for helping the community. And it transcends what we do. The income and the work and all that stuff is secondary. So, which leads us to our vision, or to our mission statement. Like, what will we actually do to reach that vision, to change what the East Valley is? And because my vision for the company coincides with what I do politically, right? I want to have Chandler be the best community in the state, the best community in the region. So I believe that if I can offer those services to help small business owners, that helps the whole ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the startup system, all those things. So they all kind of churn together for me, and it's part of my overall mission as a person as well. So the mission statement is very simple. C2C helps small business owners feel confident and control again. We create and execute C-suite marketing strategies that help them rise above the noise in competitive market space. There are huge companies out there spending a lot of money on eyeball time on your phones, right? That's where everybody is seeing advertisement now. We try to create messaging and personalized stories through our mission to help our clients reach, and that helps me reach my vision for what I think C2C should be. And this is keep in mind, there's no finish line in this race. This is something that goes on every day, and you're going to have your ups and your downs, but having a concise vision statement and a mission statement is super important for knowing where you're going. And it's also great to share with your clients. Like, I remember when we hired Missy, who helps us with sales and administration and things like that, she really connected with the vision statement for C2C, and she thought we had a deeper purpose. It was one of the reasons that we were able to hire her. So that takes me into unique value proposition, right? What is our brand promise? And that is basically, how do you solve your customers' problems versus someone else in your space? So you really need to take some notes on, okay, what makes me special in the marketplace? Like, I can list a slew of accolades for the Chandler Chamber of Commerce and how they're different from some of the competitors in the marketplace. And that can be regionally, like our neighbors and things like that. But that can also be locally. What do they do that provides service beyond the reach of possible competitors out there? So for what we do, and it kind of ties into a mission statement, for C2C, our unique value proposition is simple. We relieve stress and give our clients a peace of mind because we offer cover-to-cover marketing support with free business consulting. I've got, well, I don't want to say how many years because that'll give away my age, but I've got a lot of years of Fortune 50 branding, marketing, and sales. And so I understand how to put a plan together, and you get that for free when you sign up with us to help, when we help you with your digital marketing. And we take over, we tell our clients what they should be doing, and then we execute that for them so they can focus on operations and customer facing activities. So we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah, and that's something I just want to note real quick is that the marketing plan is a working document. So you have the ability to continuously make changes if you need to.
So let's figure out who our audience is. And so this is a great idea here, is to think about your perfect customer. I was having a conversation just yesterday with a friend of mine. We were talking about his consulting business, and we were asking him about, what are his best opportunity clients. And so he's got some clients that he makes a profit margin of about $1,000 an event for, and then he's got others that he makes 10,000. Obviously, he wants those higher margin clients. And so I said, okay, well, where are those clients? Who are they? How do we go find those clients? Where are their eyeballs at? And so we figure out who that perfect audience is. If you're a restaurant, I always seem to fall in restaurants, maybe because it's always before lunch and I'm hungry, but I always think about restaurants. And so you have a different clientele depending on the type of offering that you have. If you're a sports bar like Sidelines, for example, I know them as having great wings and thousands of TVs. It's not thousands, but it's a lot. But they've identified their brand and they know who their target audience are. And they're going to market directly to men between the ages of 21 and 45 that love to watch sports, right? And they can carve out that audience. That's who they want. That's their ideal customer. And they figure that out. You need to figure that out for yourself. I think about the Chamber of Commerce's ideal customer, and it's any organization that wants to be involved in the community, to share information with the community and help elevate the discussion about good business practice and being good corporate neighbors, right? We can go out and actually search for those people, understanding who our ideal customer is. So we think about where our customers' eyeballs are, right? Jot down the demographic of your clients. Maybe your clients still look at newspapers and magazines, right? You have an older clientele that isn't getting their news on their phone. Well, you need to be targeting them the right way and where they live. Do they love Facebook? Everybody's on Facebook. Are they migrating to TikTok? I've got a family member in my household who is my age, who absolutely loves TikTok, and that's the fastest growing social media application and platform out there. It's just booming. And so you don't necessarily have to be a great videographer to be able to put up content on TikTok, but there are a lot of eyeballs there. So we'll go to the next one. Jillian, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the ideal customer profile, the more specific you can get here, the better. It's just going to help you in the long run. What do your customers value? What are their pain points? And those are a few things that we hit on that one-pager marketing plan, but get really specific here and take some time drawing that out.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So that takes us to, I guess, the biggest piece, right, is the messaging and the content that you're pushing out. So now that you've identified who your perfect client is, you can create messaging that resonates with them. So, but that messaging just simply needs to tell your customers how you solve their problem. You can test messages out on social media, especially if you're new to it, because nobody's watching anyway, right? You haven't built an audience out. Even if you do some advertising, you can test some things and see if people convert. We do A/B testing all the time for our clients to figure out, okay, what image works the best? What messaging works the best? What makes people convert and actually create a conversion online so that they ask for more information, or that they actually buy something. And so those are things that you should be considering. So some examples of that are, like we all know, like for Home Depot, how doers get more done, more saving, more doing. That messaging speaks directly to do-it-yourselfers, right? They're hearing that on a regular basis, especially on the radio. And I think it's important for you to be thinking about your messaging as well. And once you lock it in, stay on it, stay on that cadence, give it at least 12 months, because what people will start to remember is what your words mean, what your visual cues mean, and they'll start to recognize your brand a little bit deeper. Okay, so there's the visual branding there that's important as well. So Jillian?
Yeah, so I think this graphic here is really showing that you can test different messages, and like these big brands did change their messaging over time. So the text in the white here is the old catchphrase or tagline for the brand, and then the one in the image is their new one. So it's okay to change it once you give it some time and you realize, okay, maybe that's not working, that's not resonating with my consumer, and making that change.
So here are some quick things that you want to be conscious of. You want to maybe jot some of these things down and ask yourself, when you're looking at your overall brand strategy, when you're looking at your ideal customer, when you're looking at your messaging, are you using the right tools to get that messaging out, right? Are you doing direct sales? Are you emailing your customers? Are you even texting them when you have the opportunity? Even a restaurant can occasionally, you don't always have to put out a coupon. Just say hello, right? Just remind people that you're here. Remember that story earlier about empathy? Let people know what you're doing for your staff. Let them know that you're aware of COVID and that you're not ignoring it and that you're doing extra safety measures. We have a client that for 6 months now, she's an orthodontist, and we've been pushing out constant messaging about safety, right? That's a very deep concern. Not only safety for our clients, but safety for her staff, right? And so that's something that we've been sharing. I think one of the keys to understand to reaching your goals is, one, write down what your goals are for 2021. And I think you want to reach for the stars here. But understand, do you want new business growth, right? Or do you want better business growth? Do you want fewer customers with a higher ring? Well, write that down. Figure out where those folks are, and then create a plan to go reach them and find out where they are. From an internet marketing standpoint, there are so many tools that you can use to build your overall funnel. And I think everybody's heard the term funnel. And if you haven't, send me a note and I'll send you an example of a marketing funnel. But there is a very clear stage of conversion that happens with every consumer that has not seen your brand or experienced your brand before. And it starts with an awareness phase, right? So they're up at the top of the funnel, they're made aware of your brand. Then they consider your brand, or they consider doing business with you. Then they actually convert or take part in your brand. And then ultimately I'm shortening this up, but ultimately then hopefully they become advocates. So when they experience what you promised, which is your brand, then they go out and they tell your friends. And that word of mouth advertising is gold. There's no dollar that you can spend that matters more than somebody going out and saying, hey, I had the best hamburgers. I am hungry. I had the best hamburger at such and such. You got to go try it. I had the best wings at Sidelines. You got to go have them, right? And so those things matter the most. And then, obviously all the rest of the stuff here is important. And Jillian, do you want to touch on any of those key items there?
Yeah, they all seem like small little things, but it really creates the whole big picture of what your brand is and what message you want to convey to your consumers. So again, really take time and put 100% effort into each one of these, because it will have a whole brand message and tie all together in the end.
Thank you. So execution and analysis, and this is the hardest part for any small business owner, or even medium-sized business owner, is to really execute what that plan is. So we've sat on the couch on Sunday night. We've used the worksheet that we're going to pass out, or we're going to give you access to later in the meeting. And so we figured all these things out. Now we got to define, okay, what is it worth to me to reach those goals, right? Businesses spend anywhere from 8 to 18% on marketing, depending what industry that they're in. If you're not spending that, it doesn't mean that you have to. It just means you should consider it. You should probably add a little bit more fuel to that fire. And I know that, one of the things I think is the hardest for people to understand with marketing is that the days of build it and they will come are over. They're absolutely over, because people are in their phones and they're making decisions based on the content that they're consuming. Right? So we have to be in a digital marketplace, and we have to do some marketing, which means when you talk about Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these different these different platforms, they're virtually requiring you to spend money in order to reach new eyeballs. Your friends are going to like your stuff. Your friends already do business with you. You may already have customers that do business with you, but you need to create content, because if they like it, 25% of their friends are going to see that content. So let's get back to execution. Define a budget to reach those goals and stick to that budget. If it's $500 a month, budget that out, put that in your plan for next year, right? And $500 is what you're going to spend to make sure that you reach eyeballs, right? Ask yourselves what success will look like 6 months and a year from now. What will that feel like when you reach that success? Will that help you get back to what is the most important thing? If you're successful, will it help you execute your mission to reach your vision for your company? And the answer for that should be yes. Marketing is a huge piece of what we do every day, not only for our personal brand, but for our businesses. And we have to commit time to it. And I know you're like, listen, I got to do payroll, I got to do QuickBooks, I got to do I got to order, inventory. I don't have time for a marketing strategy and execution and all those kind of things. I just have to make it happen. It just happens but naturally. Take a little bit of time. If you want to blow the doors off in 2021, take the time to invest in a marketing strategy. Use the tool that we're going to send out later via email, and then really put some time into and some effort and some money into making sure you can execute those goals. So, this is kind of I kind of foreshadowed this earlier, right? I talked about, why I do what I do. I talked about, why you should do what you do, and that creating that vision, knowing why you exist. I love this circle here. If you write this down, if you've ever heard of Simon Sinek, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, look him up. Maybe we'll put that in the email with you. I'll send you a link to his speech talking about your why, right? I believe that's cliche now too, but I still love it. So your why, everything starts with your why, how you get to your why, and what that means for your external consumers and your internal consumers. So understanding how you help others is your mission, how you separate from the pack. This is key, right? Your unique value proposition, like what makes you different, what makes you exciting, what people want to connect with you. And then connecting with your audience, listen to your market, right? Target where your customers' eyes are, communicate on how you're going to solve their problem, reach for more, stretch yourself and execute, do something special. And the special thing right now, as we're moving into the holiday season, you have some downtime, is to spend some time putting a marketing plan together, build momentum, learn new platforms, do some seminars, figure out how to use things to reach those attainable goals, and then spend 1 hour a week on execution, right? Figure out a way to carve out time, get it on your calendar, to look at your marketing plan at least every other week and see if you're on track. So when you do that, you're going to build credibility, you're going to attract more customers, you're going to stay focused, and you're going to become more memorable. And ultimately, that's good for everybody, right? If you have a good brand and you solve people's problems and you're running a good business, that's good for everybody. So, Jay?
Well said.
Oh, and there we go. And that's perfect segue to the ending here. So, what we'd like you to do is you can connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. You can send us a message through any of these channels, and we'll leave this up for a while as we answer questions. I'd like for everybody to take a little bit of time, grab their phone, and go connect with us because we put out content online that I think you're going to want to see. And these are just little morsels that'll keep marketing at the top of your mind as we're moving through 2021. And then we'll also share some pertinent information, and we'll do some webinars like this, and this will all be online. If you want to come back and look at this another day, it'll be on our YouTube channel, it'll be on our Facebook page and things like that. So connect with us. We're going to send out a one-page marketing strategy outline that you can use to answer some of the questions that we talked about today, and hopefully have a better idea of what you want to do from a marketing standpoint next year. Jillian, anything to add?
I think that's it. I think we will move on to questions. If anyone has any questions, we can answer them now.
And if the first question is, where did I get my sweater? I don't remember, but it's one of my favorites. Carly was laughing.
That was my top question for sure.
That's awesome. So any questions? I mean, the good thing is when we don't have a lot of questions, it means it was a very thorough presentation. So that's good. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, which means we might be able to give people some of their day back. Maybe you can use this extra 20 minutes to jot a few more notes down about what your goals are for 2021.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Mark and Jillian. That was phenomenal information. I really loved, especially just thinking about strategizing, it can seem really overwhelming when we look at a year as a whole and what needs to be done. But I really like that you said just set an hour aside. If it's just an hour, that way it's just a small little chip away at it. So that's awesome.
Well,
Well, and
fantastic.
we don't have any questions coming in. I will be sending out the recording if you guys want to rewatch the session, as well as the slide deck, so you can look through all of this information. Please, please, please connect with Mark and Jillian. They are full of information and resources.
Carly, thank you so much. Let's give these folks their the rest of their morning back. And I think I said about 10 times, I'm gonna go get a snack.
We will end early so that Mark can eat, and we will see you all. We'll actually be done for the year with the Strategy for Success webinars, but we'll see you starting January 7th. And we already have Mark and Jillian reserved for once a month to join us starting next winter.
Yeah, I think next we are doing a two. We're doing two in the same month. We're doing a why video is important, and I forgot what the other one was. I think we're doing a co-op with J2 Media, who's like the best videographer in town.
Yeah.
And so they do branding as well. But, you know, we're all one big happy family here in Chandler, just trying to raise the boat. So anyway, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Jillian, you got any final thoughts? How'd I do?
Fabulous.
All right. You did too. You did good too.
All right. Well, someone said thank you. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.